Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Breakthrough Blueprint, where we talk to entrepreneurs about how they became successful today. And today I have with me my amazing friend Chloe, and I'll hand it over to her to introduce herself.
Hi, well, my name's Chloe Chiang. It's funny, I didn't really think of myself as an entrepreneur until recently. I've been a realtor for the last 18 years. Yeah, I guess as a realtor, I am a business owner, a small business owner. I've recently launched a lifestyle brand that is very much inspired by my work as a realtor. And it's all kind of coming together with a home I built recently in East Austin, which I'm very proud of. It took me a while, but it's something where I bring people together and we
Hmm.
gather, we eat, we celebrate, we have interesting conversations. So that's kind of where I am right now.
That's amazing. And how did you get started in real estate?
Well, I was in college actually at the University of Texas here in Austin, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't know what I wanted to be. I knew I didn't want to be poor because I was poor. And so I asked my friend's dad what he did. He seemed successful. He drove a Porsche. He lived on the golf course. He had a statue in his house. So I asked him, I was like, "What do you do?" He's like, "I'm a real estate attorney." I was like, boom, that's what I'm going to do. I was like, real estate. Well, I don't even think I asked any questions, or at least I don't remember any of the answers I got, but everyone told me I'd be a great realtor or be good in sales. And then people
Hmm.
told me I'd be a great attorney. So I was like, everyone needs an attorney or a realtor at some point in their life. So I figured I'll just get my real estate license and then I'll go to law school. And I instantly just fell in love with real estate. So I started with just leasing my friends places around campus. And I loved it so much that I just was like, screw law school. I'm doing this. This is what I want to do for a living.
Wow, that's so awesome. I love that story.
And that's the great thing about being naive and being 19 is like you have no idea how hard real estate is. I didn't know what escrow was. I didn't even know what a loan or mortgage meant. I knew nothing. Um, and yeah, I don't think you get into real estate hoping you're going to be rich. I was just blissfully unaware. And I've never been afraid of hard work, but I had someone recently call me ma'am and ask me if they should get into real estate. And I was like, I'm 19. What do you think I should do? I'm thinking about real estate in my head. I'm like, no, don't do it. And then I think about like, wait, I was 19 and I figured it out.
Hmm.
So I told him, I was like, you're going to meet amazing people. You're going to learn a lot and you can carry that over to probably anything you do. Um, yeah, I got started at 19.
So, did you just got your license and then you just joined a brokerage or?
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much spent all of my money getting my license and joining the board. It's not terribly expensive, but for a college kid, it's, several $1,000s. And so by the time I was done with that, I had about $500 left in my bank account. So I definitely had the hustle and the motivation to figure
Hmm.
it out. Yeah, but
Hmm.
I got my license and I joined like a local like leasing company. And then after I graduated, thought, no one's taking me seriously. No one wants to buy a house from me. Given this is 2009 to 2010,
Hmm.
I graduated around 2010. And so, no one wanted to hire a realtor, period, let alone a 22-year-old. So I went to Coldwell Banker, hoping that maybe the more mature real estate firm would make me seem more professional. And
Hmm.
then I didn't stay there too long. There was people there who didn't even have an email address. They were like old school realtors. They were calling landlines and stuff like that. So I moved on to something I thought was a little bit more tech savvy. So
Mhm. Mhm.
um,
Wow, that's amazing. So then, I mean, now it looks like you have like a pretty big client base. I'm sure you get tons of referrals, businesses always coming to you. Like, what were, I mean, obviously there were many steps between college and that, but I guess how did you gain that traction and momentum?
I did a lot of things. I was spinning my wheels. I'll be honest. I didn't
Mhm.
really have I just tried to put myself in rooms where I could learn people that were smarter than me And I
Mhm.
kept, and sometimes you get overwhelmed with a lot of advice. You're like, this guy did this to be successful. Let me try this. And then this person
Yeah.
did this. And so I didn't really have one mentor. I just kind of tried to learn from anyone and anything I
Mhm.
could. So I think everything took me longer. I've learned the hard way on a lot of things. But one thing I did base everything off of from the beginning was relationships.
Mhm.
I just always come from like, I want to add value before I ask for something. So I wasn't one to just kind of go out and say, hey, use me as your realtor. Da, da, da. So what I started doing was
Mhm.
building presentations, and I realized that people were not buying homes because they didn't feel educated. If you
Mm,
don't feel
mhm.
educated, you feel confused, you don't know if you want to buy a house. And at 22, 23, 24, most of my clients were my friends and people my age that were not in the workforce very long. And they were always saying, well, I don't know if I want to buy a house. I don't know how long I'm going to live here. There was no incentive for a lot of people to buy homes at that young age until I started educating them on how to buy a house, why you should buy a house, what that home could look like if you bought it today, what your payment would be compared to rent, and where that home
Mhm.
value could be based on historical appreciation in 10
Mhm.
years. And so I really dove into educating people about home ownership and real estate. And it took a while, but
Mhm.
that's kind of how I started building that base.
Wow, that's amazing. I love that. That's great. I mean, like, I think sales in general, like you taking a consultative approach, like telling people what they don't know, because a lot of people just have no idea where to start. And I see the same thing in my AI business. Most people don't know where to start. They don't know about it. It's daunting. They know that they should be doing it in some way and they don't want to fall behind, but they first need to be educated and then you can sell them something, right? But they're not going to buy it. They're
Yeah.
scared or confused.
Yeah. I just was never good at being a pushy, hard sale person.
Mhm.
I'm not afraid of the word no. I actually like the word no
Mhm.
because my next follow-up question can be why. Is it a
Mhm.
timing thing? Is it
Mhm.
and a lot of times people don't know. They don't know why they don't want to buy or sell. So I was like, well, in the meantime, would you be interested in me kind of explaining to you how this process works so that when you are ready
Mhm.
to buy, you feel comfortable? And I did a lot of, you know, research on my own. One thing I realized is as a realtor, you're commission only. So you don't have a salary, you
Mhm.
don't have benefits. And so learning how to do your taxes is a whole experience in itself. And I learned to get an S Corp. I learned how to write
Mhm.
off taxes in certain ways. But in the beginning, I was writing everything off and showing zero income. And you can't buy a house with zero income. So I learned some tax savvy things on like how to file income, just the right amount of income in order to buy a home. So then I started working with a lot of entrepreneurs and small business owners
Mhm.
with some tax strategy, how you can use real estate and depreciation to actually write off more taxes and save money, how you can do creative financing so that you actually can write off all of your income and still qualify for loans. So I think over time, working with certain people, especially educated or in tech or
Mhm.
entrepreneurs,
Mhm.
um, I kind of grew with them. And so as I learned things through my experience, I shared that knowledge. And sometimes I'd share it in an email, sometimes I'd call people, and a lot of times it didn't come nothing came of it. But I just
Mhm.
at the end of the day, I come from a place of I don't want to gatekeep.
Mhm.
And if this bit of information can help you, whether I get to represent you on a deal or not, I still felt good about sharing that information.
Mhm. I love that. I mean, I think that's awesome, and I think just having that abundance mindset, and at least for me, I know when I've been in the same position, like you never know who's like watching your content, who's watching what you do, and maybe not they're not ready to buy for a month or 6 months or 3 years, but 3 years later, when they are ready, they remember the content that they saw, or they remember that you were the one that taught them about creative financing or whatever it is, and they're like, okay, let me just call her up and see. And then I'm sure you've gotten deals like that just were people who were just kind of, like, following you.
Yeah, and it's interesting. That's where content gets interesting for me because I feel like I'm so much more than a realtor. And what's funny is
Mhm,
on my Instagram, the
mhm.
things that people don't want or care to watch is my real estate stuff. They care about what I'm eating, where I'm traveling, whatever, my personal life. And so it's an interesting thing as in terms of social strategy because when I got into real estate, you used Facebook and you
Mhm.
wouldn't use social media as a way to get business. And then it slowly changed. So now realtors have to be content creators.
Yeah.
And with the changing landscape of things, do people want to be looking at beautiful homes and the back of your head walking through it? That was a thing for about a year. And then it was like educational content. And so I,
Mhm.
I just kind of realized at the end of the day, if you can have that human connection with people and with clients, and you can help that people feel good about something that they're not confident in, like buying a home or
Mhm.
remodeling or finances, I feel like that sticks with people a little bit longer.
Definitely. Completely agree. And it's funny that you say that because, like, building a personal brand is super important no matter what you want to sell or what business you're building. Cause now that's just the way things are. Like, founders of tech companies, like the ones that tend to get more investment are the ones that are sort of influencers and thought leaders. And, in my business, I've realized like what works best is for me to show my personal life and the things that I do for fun and the things that the travel and like you were saying, like food, people want to see your personality. They want to get to know you before they work with you because your competition is probably doing the same thing, right? So it's like they can sort of see your personality and see if there's common interests. And it's funny to say, but I think that pushes people over the line sometimes. They're like, oh, Mel looks approachable at the very least. And maybe she'll just get on an informational call with me. And you never know, like a lot of networking calls or informational calls end up leading to business. So, and I like what you've done with your content. What is your plan sort of going forward with your content then?
I'm trying to figure that out right now because I did get a little burnt out.
Mhm.
I had, an agency I was working with. I was doing 17 posts a month. I was in all of them. I was shot listing. I was writing scripts. I was writing captions. And then you do all of that and you get, a couple thousand views. And you're like, that was 2 days of my time, or that was thousands of dollars. And you're just hoping that, the right people see it and remember it. And it was always so rewarding when people would come up to me and say that they saw this video and they liked it. And the stuff that
Mhm.
actually did really well was when I was spoofing and making fun of myself and doing like a Willy Wonka tour through my house. Or and then what people didn't care about was me saying,
Uh-huh.
this is how these are the three best financing options
Mhm.
for da 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 da.
Mhm.
And like people wouldn't watch past 15 seconds. And so coming out of that and seeing the new landscape, I am trying to figure that out. I do like long form content, but yeah, so I don't know what direction I'm going to go. I think what I am leaning towards is sharing more lifestyle.
Mhm.
At the end of the day, call me if you want market stats. You want to know what this property over here is selling for or what the
Mhm.
average home price is in that neighborhood versus that neighborhood. Cool, I can do that all day. But
Mhm.
what I think is more important is sharing the advice that I give to clients on a
Mhm.
regular basis. I had someone the other day who wants to move from Dallas and she's thinking Cedar Park. So she tells me, I like Cedar Park because I can get more for my money
Mhm.
and I could save more money for retirement and I'm closer to my family.
Mhm.
But then she's like, I'm single, I'm 36, I would like to get married and eventually have kids. And I was like, well, Cedar Park, if you don't have any friends there, that might not fit those other goals. And so I said,
Mhm.
your friends are in East Austin. I was like, you don't have to live in East Austin, but maybe instead of the big 3-bedroom house, you live in a 2-bedroom condo, or you get the 3-bedroom house and pay a few $100s more a month. And that way you get out of the house, because she's
Mhm.
someone that would prefer to stay at home and read a book. I was like, well, if you're closer to things that you can get out and do things and say yes, you meet people. The more people
Mhm.
you meet, the more opportunities you have. And so I think that as someone who loves helping people, not just from finding a home, but building a life and a quality of life,
Mhm.
what I like to say is building your ecosystem. Because
Mhm.
life is so much
Mhm.
easier when people can orbit around you, right? If my job I have to drive to is closer, if my friends are over here, my family's there, then everything I do is in this orbit and my life is easier. And
Mhm.
so that's something I really enjoy doing and something I think maybe I could talk more about on long form content.
Mhm.
So yeah, I don't know where my content goes next. I'll have to pick your brain and get some advice.
Yeah, we'll definitely chat about it. But you've got like such a great foundation because like when I first even heard about you, it's because my friend Sajal had mentioned, I think it was a poker party that you
Yeah.
hosted. And so I didn't even know that you were doing real estate from just I thought you were doing like events. I didn't really know. And I found out that you were doing real estate much later than that. So, but can you talk about your events that you've hosted?
Yeah, and it's a nice transition because I don't want to be dependent on social media to get my name out there. And I think that with where social media is and AI, and I know you could probably speak way better to this than me, but it's content overload. And how much of that is
Mhm.
real? It's I don't want to be dependent on getting my name out there on social media, right?
Yeah.
So how can I connect with people? And it's always through events. It's through that one-on-one interaction. And so I wanted to learn poker. I wanted to learn how to golf. So why not do this and meet new people? And I was telling
Mhm.
someone the other day, a lot of my friends have already bought homes from me. They've already bought their second and third home from me.
Mhm.
They're not buying anything anytime soon. They're married, they've got kids, their network has stayed the same. They've got their 10 close friends,
Mhm.
and they're not really meeting new people to refer me more business. So I have to get out there. I've got to make new friends.
Mhm.
And poker is this nice intimate setting. It's 10 people. You talk at the
Mhm.
table. For me, it's
Mhm.
about networking, not so much about gambling. So I wanted to teach women how to play. I wanted to teach us how to take calculated risks, how to manage money, and get women at the table doing something that's predominantly male and feel comfortable doing those kinds of things. And so it's fun for me. It's helped me meet new people, meet new clients, and it's rewarding. And also, I like
Mhm.
hosting them at my home. A big reason
Mhm.
why I built this house is because I wanted to bring people together and again, not be so dependent on this online persona or this online presence
Mhm.
that if I'm not posting all the time, I'm going to be lost in the algorithm and only 1% of my followers is going to
Mhm.
see me. But if
Yeah.
I invite you into my home, there's a connection, right? You can bring your friend and now
Mhm.
I'm a little bit more memorable. So the events are something that are a way for me to meet new people, meet new clients, make new friends, connect with the
Yeah.
community. Because one thing that's great about Austin is it is, in my mind, diverse in how people think and in what people
Mhm.
do. If I host a party with 50 people, all 50 people do something different or think different or feel different about certain things. And so it's a very dynamic environment to be around people that are so unique.
Definitely. I love that. And I think people are just hungry for in-person events, whether it's for networking or simply making new friends or even dating. People are burned out of dating apps. I think there's so many reasons why, like, I'm always excited to go to events. Like, I'm going to, I don't know if you know Nate Ginsburg, his Conscious Builders event. I'm
That's where
going
I
to
met
that
you.
tomorrow. Oh, yeah. I forgot that's where we met. That's so
Yeah,
funny. Yeah. So it's just
he's
like,
great.
exactly, and I like that he's put this intention behind the events that it's not just supposed to be, like, transactional sort of networking, it's really about, like, getting to know people and honestly making new friends, that's what I loved about it. He's been on the podcast, and Austin is so I'm a transplant to Austin there, and most of my close friends are transplants, but it was pretty easy to make friends, like, there are a lot of subcultures and hobbies and if you run clubs, and I like that Sweat and Chill or, these health and wellness events are bringing people together more so than just like meeting up at a bar. But I love to see more events. I would love to host events in the future. Maybe we can collaborate on
Yeah.
something. But I just know, yeah, people from what I've heard, everyone's dying to just go out and actually meet people and get out of the house.
I think that that's exactly right. And as a realtor, I almost have many focus groups of just people and life, whether
Mhm.
they confide in me about their family planning or their parent is sick or they're in
Mhm.
transition of their job.
Mhm.
And having done this for so long and then being in Austin for over 20 years now, you
Mhm.
can see the evolution. And I think the reason why I love doing these events is bringing people together and building that community because there are people, what makes Austin special is so many of my clients just picked Austin and moved here. Some of them had never been here. Some of them have been here one time. Some of them came here not knowing a single person. I think that Austin is like a place for people to start fresh. And every
Mhm.
time I'm working with someone that's buying, selling, or leasing, whatever that may be, they're moving. So they're in a place in life of transition. Something is
Yeah.
changing for them. Usually they're upgrading their life, and that comes with a little bit of fear and excitement. They're upgrading their lifestyle. And so I'm at the kind of precipice of this, kind of exciting, stressful, big decision making things. And I've realized that more than ever, people need community. They need their friends. And as
Mhm.
their lives change and as we don't go into the office anymore, we aren't having that everyday interaction. And so for some of us that go to the gym and just go to the gym and don't socialize or don't make that our persona to go to the gym and run with people. And, I don't go to church and, I don't go to an office. So kind of gym, church, and office is kind of the place where people would
Mhm.
have their communities and get out of the house. And so I think it's pretty amazing that Austin has all of these very easy ways to connect with people. I tell people all the time, Austin is the friendliest place. If you know one person here, in the matter of 3 weeks, you will have 20 friends,
Yeah.
as long as you're not an asshole. But, you know, it's it's incredibly easy to meet genuinely good people that actually want to help. I feel like
Mhm.
sometimes in other cities, people are like, what do you do? How much money do you have?
Mhm.
How connected are
Mhm.
you? How
Mhm.
powerful are you? You come to Austin, people ask you what you do. They want to know, how can I help you? So I think Austin can be very generous in that way.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, it also helps that it's pretty small and compact for the most part, like, most people most of my friends live in East Austin.
It's the best side.
Exactly, and that's where I like to hang out. But, to change gears a little bit, I know that so you mentioned that you built your own house. What was that process like?
Oh, girl. You know, I think everybody probably can relate to at some point in their life just saying fuck it, and just going for something.
Yes.
That's what I did.
Wow.
I had worked really hard. I had made some good savings. It's like, what can I do with this money that's in line with my career? And I thought I was going to
Mm.
flip homes, learn how
Mhm.
to remodel so I could, have a learned experience
Mhm.
rather than just giving advice to my clients. Like, this is what I did. This was the mistakes I made. This is how I can help you not make those same mistakes. Here are the resources of painters, builders,
Mhm.
contractors, all of these people. I can build my database. So why would you not work with me as a realtor when I've done it all,
Mhm.
And so during COVID, I would just go for these long walks, and I just came across this lot, and I kind of had a Sarah Jessica Parker moment, where she tried on the wedding dress and she was just going to start with, like, just a little old, courthouse wedding. And then she found the dress and now it's like a whole thing.
Mm. Mhm.
That was me. I was like, I'm just going to build a 1,500 square foot bungalow. And then I saw this lot. I was like, I'm going for it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to build. Because the other thing too is breaking into the luxury market in real estate is hard.
Mm.
I don't have those connections. I don't have a kid in private school. I don't join the golf course. I've got a nose ring and a tattoo. Okay. So, for whatever reason, things have always been a little bit challenging for me in some way. And some things are easier than others, but I wanted to break into luxury. And I was like, you know what? If I build a luxury home, that says more than, selling someone else's luxury home. I built it. I'm going to invite people
Mhm.
into my home and show them that I have a very high attention to detail.
Mm.
And, I just, that was the idea. I was like, I'm going to build something. I'm going to learn. I'm going to get my MBA at the School of Hard Knocks in
Mhm.
construction. I'm going to overspend and I'm going to make mistakes and I'm going to learn everything so that my clients don't have to make the same mistakes.
Mhm.
And instead of just trying to connect with them on Instagram or calling them once or twice a year to check in, I'm going to
Mhm.
invite them in. I'm going to have dinner parties. I'm going to have, other parties and invite them and help them make friends, or do something in between. This market's been a little slow, or it's just normal. It's more balanced than it was before.
Mhm.
So at the end of the day, I was like, this makes sense. And then halfway through, I was like, what the am I doing? But it all worked out. But the process was long. It was 4 or 5 years, and
Wow. So from the
it
time
I
that you purchased the lot, it was 4 or 5 years to completion.
I put the lot under contract in 2020, and normally a contract is about 30 days. This one took me 5 months. It was
Mm.
7 siblings. It was in probate. One of the siblings had died during COVID. None of them used DocuSign. So it was just like everything was hard. And then during
Wow.
COVID, everything took longer. I had a builder. I didn't have great builder. Nothing wrong with that builder, but I just didn't. It didn't feel like the right fit. And after a
Mm.
year of
Mhm.
working with him, before I broke ground, I decided to terminate that contract and start over and hire a different builder. So that put me back another 6 months probably.
Mm.
And then I was kind of designing a lot of the house as I went. So I'd picked out a lot of things before, But when you're designing as you go, there's just a lot of decisions. So I would say now my home is done. I'm building a speakeasy in the back right now.
That's awesome.
But once that speakeasy is done, I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done.
That
Yeah.
is amazing. When I build my luxury home here in a couple years when I'm done traveling, I'm definitely gonna look to you as a resource.
I would love that. Yeah, I've actually started doing a side gig to my real estate sales. It's
Mhm.
owner's representation. So I think one thing I did the best, because I'm not a specialty, I'm not a designer, I'm not a builder, I'm not an architect or an engineer, but I'm good at finding good people that fit my clients' goals and helping them build a team. And then, kind of keeping in mind like what your quality of life is. Hey, if you cook
Mhm.
all the time, you might want to make your kitchen like this. You might want a butler's kitchen for catering because you
Mhm.
throw a lot of events. So, I'm good at ideas. I'm good at bringing people together, making sure everyone's working cohesively while not necessarily specializing in one specific thing during that process.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
I'm kind of your advocate. And I realize
Mhm.
how much I would have loved to have had an advocate for me because I'm managing. The builder has a certain way of
Mhm.
doing things, the architect, the designer, they all have their perceptions and their expectations and how they would do things. And so I'm kind of in the middle being like, well, first of all, which is the cheapest option? And which option is going to be the, good, better, best? And you're being presented with 4 different opinions on something as minor as, like, door handles. And, and sometimes you just want someone to help you make that decision, and that's kind of where I can come into play.
That's amazing. I love that. I mean, it's so cool, honestly, just to hear your background because this is really the first time I'm really getting to know your background from where you started to where you are now. It's honestly incredible, and like finding that niche, being able to advocate for people, and sort of be like the project manager. I'm sure a lot of people who are building luxury homes, they probably don't have a lot of time. A lot of free time. They don't want to be doing the back and forth and the calling and the coordinating between everybody. So that's amazing that you've been able to find that opportunity.
Yeah, I have my first client and it's going really well. And my home is on the Tribeza Interiors tour this weekend. So I'm gonna kind of pitch that idea to some people
Mhm.
and see if that's a realm I can kind of work in as well, in addition to selling real estate.
Wow, love that. Amazing. So you said you're building a speakeasy. Is that just, to also host events back there and
Yes. I'm a little cuckoo, okay? I had experienced during building this home and long story short, it's hard. I was working full time. I was running a brokerage. I was building this house and I just got really burnt out. And
Mhm.
the community really stepped in and they didn't even know that I was suffering, but just all of the texts or the DMs of people just cheering for you, people praising and just being very kind, it helps me get through. And the more people I talk to and the more events I throw, the more I truly understand how important it is to meet good people and have good people in your life. And so I think the best way you can really get to know someone is over sharing a good meal. And I
Mhm.
love food. And so
Same.
I love food. And I think one thing where Austin is lacking is the dinner and a show. It's big in other cities,
Mhm.
but I want to bring
Mhm.
in the creative part of Austin into these dinner experiences. And I want to create, something beautiful with the chef. I just had a meeting today with a tequila company called House of Rare, and they want to do a
That's my
tequila.
friend's company,
Really, Miguel?
Miguel.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh
Oh, did
my God.
Mike connect you? Did Mike connect
Yeah.
you guys?
Weston, no, Weston. Well, I think
Okay.
Weston Woodward and then Mike knows him through Weston, I believe. So, my
I was gonna
God,
say I was literally texting Miguel last night to see if he'd go on my
stop.
podcast. It's a small world.
That is crazy.
Yeah, I visited
What?
their tequila distillery in
I'm going
I
there
went
in
to
February.
Guadalajara. Yeah. Oh
Okay,
my gosh.
I'm
Yeah,
going there. Okay, in February. That's hilarious.
I love that. It's
Wow.
such a small
Okay.
world.
That is wild. Well, you have to be at this dinner then. He was talking about the tequilas and I was like, everyone kind of does a tequila tasting and X, Y, and Z, but what if we did tequila pairing with, a beautiful meal? Let's bring in a painter to paint our dinner experience. Let's bring in a violin player or a saxophone player or a singer, a spoken word poet, a magician. I love magic. Bring in the magicians, right? And so the idea is if the dinner's not here, it could be in the
Mhm.
speakeasy or,
Mhm.
the speakeasy can be a wonderful activation for my poker, for
Mhm.
coffee, like morning coffees, like instead of just always doing dinners and doing stuff that doesn't involve drinking. So, like having a nice
Yeah.
coffee morning. And my boyfriend loves music and a great DJ. And I want to do listening parties. I've got some people I'm meeting in Austin that are doing album releases. So we could do, like a vinyl listening party. And so it just allows me to have an activation space that makes people open up. I think when you provide a beautiful space that was designed with intention and you
Mhm.
feel safe to kind of be yourself, amazing stories can unfold. And I think as a realtor, I've just heard so many beautiful stories and people betting on themselves that their story should be told not just to me, but to other people. And so the speakeasy is kind of my way of giving back to Austin by bringing a lot of people together. I
Mhm.
think as entrepreneurs, we tend to hang out with a lot of entrepreneurs. It's the founders meeting, it's the conscious builders, it's a lot of that. And that's beautiful, right? But I want to mix the
Mhm.
creatives with the
Mhm.
entrepreneurs because the creatives, they start with a blank piece of paper and they just go. They don't know what they're going to do, they just go. Where I think
Mhm.
as entrepreneurs start with like the full picture and then have to kind of peel back the layers on where to start. And so I
Mhm.
think having these two dynamics together can we can help each other out in a lot of ways. And it's not that I don't like being in a room full of entrepreneurs. I do, but the conversations are a little different when you mix people together. I'm
Definitely.
very I'm very inspired and excited to just bring people together over a good meal.
Wow, I love that. That is so awesome. This is super inspiring to me because like I have always thought about building my own home. It's just that like I've been a digital nomad mostly like all of last year. I traveled. I've spent so much time in Mexico City and built an amazing community there. But I know that long term I'll be based in Austin because my whole family moved here from LA. So yeah, it's just like the way that you've thought about building your home and like the intention that's going into the speakeasy is super inspiring because I love to host events and I love also food.
Well, imagine you bring in your friends, like, what if one thing too is because I know so many people, I've been approached by people to help me raise money for their businesses or to help their product get more recognition, to
Mhm.
get people to download their app. And I'm like, well, if you want to rent my house as a venue and then you want to pay
Mhm.
me to bring in the right people into the right room, there's value there. A girlfriend of mine who's super brilliant taught me this word called relationship capital. And I think that for me, money is certainly a form of capital, obviously, but I've invested a lot of energy, time, and money into my
Mhm.
relationships.
Mhm.
I probably talk to over 50 people a day. I am very good at following up with people, checking in,
Mhm.
and it's genuine. I love to do it. But that
Mhm.
has value and it does have monetary value. And so if someone wants more people to buy their tequila,
Mhm.
then I can bring the right people to the table who are going to love and be advocates for your tequila brand. So if
Mhm.
I'm good at putting the right people in the right room, that's added value not just to my clients but to my friends and to my community. And so I've really kind of dove into that side of things is relationship capital, and it's worked. I have, for example, with this house being on a tour, my landscaper, my cabinet maker, my designer, they have generously volunteered their time and thousands of dollars worth of product and material because they see the value in what I'm bringing
Mhm.
to this home. Thousands of people coming on the tour to see their work, on the social media presence that I've brought that I can promote them on, the
Mhm.
client base and the network I have that want their services. And I follow through. I always
Mhm.
follow through on the promises I make. And if I say I'm going to bring you new business, if I say I'm going to promote you, I will be your biggest advocate and your biggest cheerleader. And so I think that I'm really using this home as a tool to attract good people and then bring good people to those people as well. So you should
Love
build
it.
a house.
And now I need to get that together sooner than I was planning.
It's a good time. It's a good time to buy some dirt, and it's a I'm not gonna lie to you, it's a tough process, but you definitely don't have to do it the way I did it. There are
Mhm.
way easier ways, you know. Joseph Design Build, Paradisa, they build beautiful homes and you can still pick your finishes, but they've kind of got a good,
Mhm.
base. I did fully custom. There is not a thing in this home that I did not make a decision on
Mhm.
painstakingly so.
Mhm. Mhm. Amazing. Love that. Gotta get you an Architectural Digest then.
That's the goal. That is the
Put it
goal.
out into the universe for sure.
It's
Well, I
on my
mean
vision board. I would love to have Kelly Werschler or Ken Folk
mhm.
eat dinner in my home. And that's the thing. We have such a beautiful community in Austin, and it's not
Mhm.
just celebrities, but just the creatives. And I think the more I'm
Mhm.
around creatives, um, I don't know. I mean, and entrepreneurs are creative too, but when you sit and have a really good conversation and you do this all the time, I just walk away feeling so much energy.
Yeah.
And I think if I kind of subscribe to the fact that one conversation can change your life, and I know because I've been burnt out, I've been depressed, I
Mhm.
know a lot of people that are feeling the waves of that,
Yeah.
and sometimes when you step out and you meet that one person that you just click with and you feel seen and you can have a good laugh, that it can
Mhm.
change the trajectory of your week, your day, or your year. And I think if I can be a small part of helping spark some of those feelings of this is why we gather,
Mhm.
um, I feel like, I'm living my best life then.
I love that. That's amazing. I completely agree. That's why I love doing my podcast because it's energizing and it's inspiring to hear from people like you, people who have gone from zero knowledge and to becoming an expert and building like an empire. So I'm grateful that I get to talk to people almost every day, break up my day between sales calls and meetings and Zoom calls. This is my fun interaction. So because I can't leave the house every single day and meet up with you, but or meet up with like other
Yeah.
people, but it's been great.
Yeah,
It's been really
honestly,
great.
this is super inspiring me because I just like having conversations like this, and
Mhm.
I forget that we're even recording. That like we'll definitely have to talk more about all of this because, you just doing it, I know we've talked about it, is sometimes you just get so fed up of thinking about it and you're just like, I'm just going to do it. So I really
Yep.
admire that you're just going for it. I love it.
Thank you, thank you. Well, this has been so awesome, and I guess just to wrap things up, what advice do you have for people that wanna be entrepreneurs or want to build a home or build an empire and do what you did?
Gosh, let me think. I think it's easy to feel like you're drinking from a fire hose. And I think you don't really learn until later the importance of slowing down because I am someone that works with such a sense of urgency that everything needed to be
Mhm.
done yesterday. Is that like just don't forget to take a deep breath. And if you can find a mentor and if you can surround yourself with really good people, that to me will help you get through your entrepreneurship journey
Mhm.
is have ways that you can breathe and relax, have community, and have a good mentor.
Mhm. I love that. Well, thank you so much for joining me, Chloe. I know your schedule's super busy.
Thank you. I always have time for you. So I appreciate you inviting me on your podcast.
For sure, we'll have to do it again. And for everyone else, thank you for watching The Breakthrough Blueprint and tune into the next episode.